to take their license, you want to go over there and shut it down, now, you talking. Let's go do it. But I'm telling you, it's not classified as murder. Because Hobart Lewis thinks it's murder, doesn't mean it's murder on the books. I can't go in there and jerk that doctor out and put him down at the 13th Circuit and charge him with murder. Whether I want to or not, I can't do it. So what am I going to close it on?
So you're saying that you would have to charge him to be able to close it?
What else would I close it?
No, I'm asking you.
Well, I'm telling you. You keep asking me the same question. I'm telling you, I can't close it. I got no basis to close it. Any more than I do to close this unless something happens here. And I think you're using the fact abortions occurring there is the reason to close it. And I'm against abortion. I couldn't agree more. In my mind, it is murder. However, from a legal standpoint, I can't charge them with anything. I can't prove we've had cause for service where they're a detriment to this community. They haven't created a ruckus of any kind. I don't have a basis to close it. Ma'am, I have asked everybody I know to ask. I've asked other sheriffs. I've asked the governor's office. That would be a pretty big deal if we could do that. So,
let me jump in here for a second.
yeah.
And this is not to get you off the hook.
Sure.
Hear me out. We elected Hobart because we wanted a sheriff that was going to protect our rights, so on and so forth. But it's unfair for us to pile something of this magnitude on his shoulders and say, we elected you, you go fix it. You know why we still have abortion in South Carolina? Because people that are in this room have not yet spoken to their lawmakers. We need to hold them accountable, not them accountable. When our lawmakers strike the law that says that life begins at conception and we're not going to kill it in South Carolina, when they write the law and the governor passes it, Hobart will be the first person at the abortion center. I have a feeling I'm correct. Right? But, and I'm not, we've worked together for a long time. I'm not coming to your rescue. But, again, there's a lot of concern, and I've heard a lot of questions tonight about, well, what if the federal government does this, and what if the federal government does that? Remember earlier I said it's time for us to get out of our comfort zones? I'm about to get out of my comfort zone. All right? The reason that I have a firearm is not for hunting. The reason I have a firearm, yes, to some degree, is for personal defense. I've got the right to life and liberty. And if I don't have a right to protect my life, I can't have liberty. But you know the main reason why I own firearms? It's because at some point in time in this country, if we continue down the road that we're going to have to use those firearms for the intended purpose that our founding fathers put it in there for, and that was to protect freedom. Protect freedom. Am I advocating for violence? No. I am not advocating for violence. But let's quit tiptoeing around the real issue about why we all want to keep our guns. The reason that we've got the level of freedom in this country that we've got versus the people down in Venezuela or the people over in Australia is because we've got our guns. And when we stand up and we tell our lawmakers one more infringement on our right to keep and bear arms, and we're going to rile up and you're going to face the judgment of the people, that's when we'll get our rights restored. But it's not fair. Hobart has said time and time again that if the government says, go collect the guns, you're going to say, not my job, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, we're going to stand on the other side.
I know, and these words didn't come out of your mouth, but many years ago, Sheriff Chuck Wright in a RINO Hunt meeting said that if something like that would ever happen, he would deputize every citizen in Spartanburg County, and if they didn't have a gun, he would get them a gun. I have a feeling that you would probably So if we want to protect our rights, we didn't elect him to protect our rights. We elected him to enforce the law equally across the board and to be there as that last line of defense. But we're not at the last line of defense. We are a line of defense in this room. And it's time we stop pussyfooting around the issues and got tough about it. Am I advocating for violence? Absolutely not.
Sure.
All right? Am I advocating to get ugly and nasty and cuss and profane with elected officials? Absolutely not. But it is time, it's past time that they understand they work for us. All right? They're going to end up with every freaking dollar that we have in our names, right? Wouldn't it make sense to give a few of those dollars to a candidate running against them? Yeah. If I'm gonna end up broke, I may as well end up broke financially supporting a candidate to go against the people who are stealing my rights. We got to get off the comfort zone. The time has passed. So I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's our job. It's, what's that?
We need a law like Texas for abortion. We need a law like Mississippi. That's
Yes.
what we need.
Once again, to your point, South Carolina had a good abortion or a pro-life bill. Did the Democrats kill that bill? No. The Republicans killed that bill. The RINOs killed that bill. The RINOs killed the bill. Let's just be honest with each other. The reason we're still killing babies in South Carolina is because our Republican legislature refused to do anything to stop. They wrote a weak, watered-down, or they passed a weak, watered-down bill, and then when they passed it, the governor and those lawmakers went out and took a victory lap of talking about how I support life. I'm pro-life. But they're still killing babies in South Carolina, and they're going to continue to try to take our gun rights away in South Carolina. I'm going to shut up. Let's do 2 more questions since they're already in line, and then we gotta wrap up at some point.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, Debbie McCollum. I think it's going to
Be a what?
I think it's going to be an easy question.
Okay.
So I'm a little ignorant. So what is your relationship with the police department?
So the city obviously is inside the county. We have a mutual aid agreement. We certainly work with them on large scale things, whether it's protest or VIP protection or search warrant of some kind. SWAT teams work together. We're housed in the same building. If you're asking, I think you're probably going to ask, can I kick the city out of the county? No. No, the city is incorporated, so they were established, I'm not sure when, but they have their own police department, fire department, on tax base, so they kind of have their own sources. But we have a great physical relationship for sure and work together on a lot of different things. The city can come into the county on different issues, but the county can always go into the city to help them. They got about 200 people.
And so who does the chief of police report to? And who do you report to?
John, you, the people.
Okay.
Period.
So really you have no accountability except us?
That's it. I mean,
Whoa!
That's it.
Okay.
See how it's a powerful element. We have a powerful position.
Yeah. The city police chief answers to the city administrator and then the city council.
Right.
Yeah, the mayor's on the city council, but they kind of direct him on what to do. My oath in the state constitution is what gives me the authority to be the sheriff. So it's election time. And you saw how hard it was to take Will Lewis out of office when he got in trouble. It took almost a year to get that done before charges were actually brought against him, and then he was removed. We don't have recall elections in South Carolina at all. So it's definitely the people. It's the people's office.
Okay, so do you know, so I this whole Black Lives Matter, having all the rioting and everything, I'm like, whoa, what's going on? I live in the city like myself, like, what's happening? And so I did a quick search, and I saw our police department holding up Black Lives Matter, and our mayor on his knees at one of the rallies. And so I'm like, what the heck is going on? And so now, to this day, there's still barricades around the monument by the graveyard. And so, why do we have a barricade still? I'm just a little concerned
I don't know.
about all that.
I don't know why they got barricades. I do know. So what happened with the city police officers? I don't know about Knox White. I didn't see him kneel or do any of that stuff. I don't know whether he did or not. But I was there for every protest they had for 6 weeks, and I can tell you exactly what happened. Those police officers were standing there. They were holding the line, whether it was a bike patrol unit. We had hundreds and hundreds of police officers, and those folks walked up, and they handed them the sign, held it in front of them, and took pictures, put them on the news. Some of them didn't hold the sign, didn't hold their hands out. Some of them held it, whether it's to keep peace or do whatever, I don't know. But that's why that happened. To be honest, we didn't know what was going to happen. When those particular pictures of the city police department holding those signs was down at Falls Park. We had about 1,800 people down there. It was the first big protest we had. We didn't know who was coming. We didn't know what was going to happen. So I think they were probably just responding the best way they knew how, and trying to keep it to a dull roar. Everybody we arrested was really after the protest. People who tried to set a trash can on fire, threw a couple rocks and those things. I think we locked up 12 or 13 people. One was a teacher actually at Marlin Middle School. But, yeah. So anyway, I say all that to say we tried to remove those people from the crowd initially and get them off to the side because they seemed to be the ones that were stirring stuff up. But during the actual protest, there was a lot of different things going on. They asked me to kneel at one time down at Falls Park, and I told them I don't get on my knees unless I pray. You want to pray? You want to pray? I'll be glad to. I say all that to say, so that kind of led into more aggressiveness and more things kind of getting heated up. So you got to pick your battles. You got to pick which hill you're ready to die on. So I don't think those officers necessarily supported that, especially the ones that were holding the sign. I think it was just an opportunity for them to stick them with the sign. And we do have police officers that when they're off, they march, they protest, they member of different organizations that supported that. They got a right to do that. We'll stand there and protect them too. Don't do it at work. No stickers on your car, no Facebook posts, none of that stuff. If you're representing the sheriff's office, it would represent any organization like that. But I think they were just caught by surprise. I was caught by surprise by a lot of things, to be honest. That whole 6 weeks, you just didn't know what was going to happen. People from out of town coming in, trying to keep up with them and get them out of there because they would just stir people up, stir them up, and then leave, and leave the people who live in Greenville down there throwing rocks.
Okay, real quick, just a yes or no. So if there's a Republican running, Republican and Democrat, do you endorse candidates?
I have.
You ready to endorse Joe Farmer for city council?
Who?
Joe Farmer.
I don't know.
Joe Farmer, city council in Greenville.
I don't know. I haven't kept up with that, but I don't know who that is.
So Joe Farmer is city council, November 2nd, but on the city limits, Joe Farmer, the only
Okay.
Republican running.
Yeah, nobody in the city council has asked me for anything, but are they here? Are you here?
No, Joe's not here, I think, but I'm helping him.
Yeah,
So,
we-
is that a yes that you?
Yeah, we take a picture with them, do whatever. I learned my lesson with Lindsey Graham. Very hard to get me to endorse anybody anymore. That has created more drama for me than anything. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, I'm Susana Sarabia, and I live at
I know.
Park Baptist Church.
Yes, ma'am. We had lunch together.
We had lunch together, that's right. And I'm gonna tell you what happened after I saw you. 2 incidents, okay? Last night, yesterday, I went to city council with my 2 daughters. And the mayor was enforcing masks to come in. Now, I know the governor said he cannot enforce that council did not give them $7,500. And they wanted to purchase a statue, a permanent statue. But we were praying that, my daughters especially, were praying that none of those statues will stay in the city. Because I'm going to tell you, when you put demonic stuff, you bring a curse to your city. So you can go and fight the government all you want, and you're not going to get victory until you get rid of those demonic things. You know, in the Bible, when Israel went to fight Ai, they lost. Because they disobeyed God. They brought stuff that brought a curse. So, anyway, let's go back to fight. And I'm going to tell you what happened. So the police finally gets up, goes and speaks something to Knox White, buddy lawyer, and comes back to us and says, girls, I'm not going to escort you out. I'm not going to kick you out. Can you move a little bit behind, away from these people that wear a mask? And we said, sure, no problem. Because I understand that some people are so fearful that it's crazy, because the mask has not prevented nothing. Okay? But I'm going to tell you, that happened. And, you know, I'm asking, how come Knox White, knowing that the governor said you cannot do a mandate, why Knox White is putting a mandate in his meetings? Because I went today again. I went today to the meeting with art in public places. And you know what? They want us to put us on mask, and we told them no. So when we went out with my daughter, one police officer told us that we thank him. And we said, why is that? Well, let me say this. South Carolina has a Supreme Court. And when I go to the Supreme Court, because the judge is a Democrat, a liberal, he puts a mask mandate. And we have to wear a mask mandate. So my daughter says, Mom, when is a Supreme Court judge supposed to put rules when he's only supposed to read cases? So that's a problem. And then, you know, I went, that day that I saw you, I went to help Anderson County. Because I have grandchildren. And eventually they're going to come to school. And I don't want them to put a gene therapy on my kids. My kids are my kids. They're given to me. My grandchildren are given by God. So I'm going to be a good grandma. And I'm going to fight. So I go to Anderson. I go to Anderson County, and there's the sheriff, all these police cars, and the school board says, no mask, no entry. So I go to the door. He says, you must wear a mask. And I say, no, I don't. Yeah, you're not coming in. I didn't see any sheriff coming to my aid. None. So that's when I'm kind of concerned that when the time comes, we are not going to have the support that we need. And we need to work something fast. Because these people don't sleep. It's like the devil is working 24/7, and we are sleeping maybe 20 hours. You know, so think about it, because it's your freedom and it's my freedom.
I agree, man. I'm not quite sure what you might want me to answer out of that, other than the end. And I don't know what happened in Anderson, but I could tell you, I don't think that would happen in Greenville at all with the county. Again, the city can make ordinances, they can enforce them. That's their right to do that. Don't, you wanna hurt them, don't visit the city, don't go eat in the city, I don't, so, I don't approve of that, I try to hurt you with your wallet, but what I'm saying is, you're right, we do live in tough times, people do need to come together, we need to pray for each other, but we need to stand together and support each other too.
Well, if you say that, then let's stay in a little circle and not move because it's gonna go. Let me start go. I want my kids, I know, but no, I'm talking about city, man. I'm talking about city. He's talking to me about the city of Greenville. He told me not to go to the city of Greenville. Well, let me say it's my city because we all pay. And we
Well, no, you can go, I'm not telling you not to go, I'm telling you I don't go because I don't wanna wear a mask, so that's my
Well,
problem.
but the thing is, when people like not watch, listen to the government,
Well,
why he's not listening?
go down there and stand in Knox's office and protest. I mean, stand out front, they got a nice big city hall down there and hold a sign up, I don't know what to tell you about that one.
I think this gentleman's got.
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Can you hear me? I'll be brief.
Yes, sir.
Two things. This next delegation for the Greenville County Council, a couple meetings back, I went to one standing room only. Let me tell you folks, the Greenville County Council does not like that room to be full.
No.
They don't like it, because they know you're there for a reason. And buddy, you can see the steam coming out. They don't like it. Number two, if you'll let me digress to the national level for just 1 minute, because I got a point. Not my, but the president, if you watch, C-SPAN or C-MAX last night, you saw the president get his booster shot, okay? Now, this is how he got it. He was facing the camera. The nurse was over here, and she was doing something like this, and then she could see to wipe his arm, I guess, with sterile alcohol. But did you see him get a shot? Now, my point, I think, is this. He got on his soapbox and mandated and preached and whatever for a year that everybody needs the vaccine. Now, he's probably going to do the same thing with booster. I don't know if it was what's the mandate that he does? Executive order. But when he said that if you've got 100 employees, if you're a business, you got to have them all vaccinated. I think that is wrong. I think that is wrong. And if you lose your job because of that, that is also wrong. That's all I got.
Thank you. Obviously, we have a lot of other stuff on the agenda that is not going to get to tonight. We are, to say we're past due is an understatement. Who's this? Sunday, 3 to 5, pizza in front of Peace Center, peaceful protest against medical tyranny. Please be there.
That's what they're talking about, Barry, forcing us to make sure my employees have to have a vaccine before I can take them into plants to go to work. I'm not doing it.
Right. Well, I want to thank our Sheriff Hobart Lewis for being here tonight. Quite a few months ago, I lose track of time, it may be close to a year ago, I invited the sheriff to come and speak. He had a previous engagement on that night. When I reached out to him this time by text, it was an instant, yes, my calendar's clear, I'll be there. So thank you, Sheriff Lewis, for being here tonight. You're welcome always, and we'd definitely like to have you back again for additional updates.